Full and a good dream to have, a good ambition to have, and I think with the world now, the information space, the exposure that we have all over the world, we are able to peg and leverage and learn. I mean, we are a country that loves benchmarking in terms of governance, so I believe that sports governance, we also have the opportunity now to be able to learn from the exposure that we have, the kind of brands as Hoffenheim, which is one of the strongest football brands in the world, to be able to then put our act together and have a long-term view of how we grow our clubs as brands. It is a long shot away, but I think with the right mentality, with the proper focus and good structures, it is possible that we can achieve this probably in a shorter span of time than it has taken, the rest of the world in Europe and Asia to get there. Because now the script is well written, and all we need to do is actually pick it, adopt it to our standards, and we can get there. But before we take off, I think a number of hiccups and challenges that we face in terms of, the environment within which we conduct our sport. But yeah, obviously a good dream to have, a long shot away, but possible.
But possible. Because TSG Hoffenheim actually depended largely on the deep pockets of one rich guy called Dietmar Hopp. But over time, Hoffenheim has outgrown. It's no longer dependent on the funding from Dietmar Hopp.
That's entirely right, and I think what you just said about a long-term strategy is the key. Mr. Hopp was very clear after his initial investments, and of course he's still the determining man in the club and around the club, with foundations around, with investments also in medical research in our region and across, beyond the region. So investing in football was just one thing that he did, investing in his hometown club, yes, in his village hometown club. And well, he said very, very much and very clear, well, the club has to be independent of my investments, and the yes, club has to have a sustainable long-term strategy to come up with the funding needed to sustain that top level, being part of the Bundesliga in the future.
TSC, yes, TSC as a youth organization coming up, I was going through one of your websites, and I saw how you are putting in the audited accounts and all that, the programs you are conducting. And certainly you have a lot to learn from clubs like Hoffenheim.
Sure. I think for our viewers, it's important for me to kind of bring it and make it easier for them to understand the yes, relationship.
Yes.
So TSC for us is been in existence since 2001.
2000.
Yes. And for those number of years, around 18 years of existence, we've really been actually consistent with our learning. And what one of the most important things for us is always being rooted to our community and ensuring that we invest a lot in our communities.
Yes.
And yesterday we had time with Sebastian to go around the different sports for development organizations within Nairobi that are our partners, because TSC is part of the Street Football World Network, which is based in Berlin, the headquarters, but is about 130 organizations globally who are using football as a tool for social change.
Yeah.
So yesterday, as we were going around, we were trying to see what are we doing in our communities and how best can we improve and learn from whatever they have been able to do in Germany. And for us as TSC, one of the things that is really key for us is trying to see how do we invest in young people, yes, especially building their capacities to lead, because we believe in leadership, and not only leadership in political positions, yeah, but leadership in all aspects. Because if I look at who I am today, is actually as a result of people who invested time, people who invested resources in me. Because being a CEO at the age of 26 is not something easy. And being a CEO of an organization that is 16 years old by that time,
sure,
you see it's really quite an achievement. And we have lots of young people who we've really invested a lot, and the people even who I came after really invested. Like we have Caroline Wanjala, who's Now, I think a referee at CAF.
She is.
Yeah, she is. You know her. Yeah, she's one of our products at TAISA. So she's among our beneficiaries, and I have grown up looking up to her as a lady.
It's quite a remarkable story, just in the same way Hoffenheim is a remarkable story that Dietmar Hopp comes in, pumps in a lot of money in a way, but then the community around Hoffenheim has taken up this club and they feel it's really one of their own. Now you are coming to Africa, coming to Kenya. Yeah. That must be a good story.
Oh, absolutely, and what we share is this strong and clear focus on youth development. So when you ask me, okay, what is key to success in our long-term strategy, then it's definitely this, well, initial investment, but not only in the pro team, and initially it wasn't that investment in the pro team, but the investment in youth development in our region, not only in football, but beyond football, in academics, I mentioned the research, medical research, and so on, but mainly in really, well, helping youngsters grow and investing in a football-related youth development program. This was the key and is still the key. So we develop players, and that is also mainly our business models, but we also develop our colleagues, we develop coaches. You all know Julian Nagelsmann, the youngest head coach on the top flight ever. Head coach at the age of 28, just like a CEO at the age of 26. And he was he was part of our academy for many, many years. And so it's not only about players, it's also about the staff members, it's about a holistic approach to develop. And this is something that we share. Yeah.
Milton, do you think the Kenyan Premier League clubs or the National Division 1, National Super League clubs are watching this and trying to learn about business models that, first of all, they are football clubs, but then they have decided that we can have a business off this?
I think I listened to this, and having been to the Bundesliga and got a bit of exposure about how it has developed itself, I think people need to know that the Bundesliga is Germany as a country in terms of football development is one of the best in the world in terms of how the technical capacity for coaches, for sports scientists, for the players themselves, and it is actually one of the best leagues in terms of sports fan attendance.
Yes.
It comes even ahead of the Premier League. It is only second to the NFL in global fan attendance. That tells you in terms of how, as you invest, sport for development, and if I can narrow down so that I respond to your question on football for development, how this could work then is that we must now, as a country, stop what we are doing, stop the obsession with going the pro level, which is so demanding in terms of what the expectations are, what the outcomes should be, and start developing from the lowest level. And Hoffenheim would be the perfect example for that, because they said they wanted to start from the lowest level so that you have a progression. Yes. So that eventually when you get to the pro level, then you're able to sustain it. And you would have then, enticed the community, because then you're developing players, young players from within that community. If it is Shabana, for example, you're developing players from that locality. If it is Gor Mahia, you're developing players from, so that by the time 15, 20 years to come, you have a community that has grown with the brand such that automatically they fit into that. It doesn't matter who they play or who they face, but they would be able to sustain. And that is why Hoffenheim have been at the top flight for long, top 50 brands in the world, and they're now developing the international business model. That is what I think we need to do. Stop that obsession, and we must do it deliberately.
If my director could show us some of the images, I saw the Hoffenheim Stadium. They call it the Rain.
It used to be called like that. It's a Pre-Zero Arena now. We have a new partner. Yeah.
Very, very impressive images there. And if you look at the stadium of this club and the benefits to the community, well, everyone will want to be associated with Hoffenheim.
For sure. I mean, it's definitely necessary to add that we are facing competition in well, very sports-heavy market in our region as well. We have the German champion, many times German champion in ice hockey and in handball just around the corner. So there's other sports we're competing with. There's also other clubs that have a longer tradition than us. But still, this attraction to top-level football, to homegrown talent that is on the pitch in the Bundesliga eventually. So my hometown is not far away from Hoffenheim, and a lot of players around that village that I grew up in, they have managed to be developed or be scouted by Hoffenheim, by us, and were developed in the academy. And like Dennis Geiger is the perfect example from Moosbach, which is just a half an hour away. It's just a little town, and he's now one of our best prospects, best players, under 21 international. Wow. So this is a strong connection between community and club as well.
As we wind up, Gate, quickly. Yes. Do you feel confident that with such partners, with such friends, TISA can grow to another level?
Yes, I'm really very much confident, because one of the things is we can really co-create different programs that go towards developing young people. Because as he shared, their global strategy is more of trying to build leaders, leaders both in the field and out of the field, both actually both in the stadiums and out of stadiums, because at the end of the day, the pitch is only our school of life. And once we play in the pitch, we should pick the lessons from the pitch and use that for our daily living, making correct decisions, trying to see how do we become better people. So with such people on board, we can really create opportunities for young people to actually build themselves and try to see how they can think about their communities, even as they grow up. Because you also actually talked about someone who really invested a lot of money in the team and ensured that today they are a big success. They have a big stadium today. So I also believe in the same, that if together as Kenyans we believe in our own communities, believe in our own young people, and we can be able to actually invest a lot of money, a lot of time in building them, then we can really take organizations like TISA and the rest of other sports for development organizations into ensuring that young people grow holistically.
I think just something I would want to pick from what Sebastian said is that he spoke about tradition. That is very, very important, especially if you want to develop brands. And therefore, the question then becomes, what tradition do we want to build or model our sports brands on? What is it that would stand out? We have people, we have investors who are associated with our different football brands. Yes. But do they have the kind of vision that Didi Hope had? I mean, that is a question that you've got to ask yourself, because these are people who come on board. They say they want to support the club, they want to invest in it, but the moment it becomes unsustainable, or the depth of their pockets, is shallower, then they let go of their support, and that is the end of the story. So those are the things that we really must ask ourselves. And if then we can pick the script and read it well from organizations like now Hoffenheim and what TISA and many others in the country are trying to do, it would be easier then that whoever comes on board would be able to then have that vision into which then the money is channeled, with a way of then having that as a return on investment for sustainability.
Thank you very much, Milton Nyakundi, the senior journalist in Kenya, and of course it was our pleasure hosting you, Sebastian Basha from TSC Hoffenheim, and the youngest, one of the youngest CEOs in the country, that is Anthony Gitei. Asanteni sana, karibu tena anytime, so that we can take this conversation to another level. That has been Sports Chat here on KTN News. I've been your presenter, Robin Toskin. Until next week.